streaming. All right, Dawn.
Where are you starting? Okay.
There, here's the agenda. Woo, 3 exciting bullet points. 1, 2, 3. We're going to talk about chapters, we're going to talk about projects, we're going to talk about some operational stuff. It's just
Okay, who doesn't know me, my name is Dawn Aiken. I'm a community manager. I've taken over chapters, what is it, about 3 months, 4 months now? I don't even know.
Hey, look, it's like I made a slide for you.
Oh, and he spelled my name right.
Yeah, I can do this.
So basically, a lot of people noticed lately who have been wanting to open chapters, we're trying to restructure everything. Some chapters had to wait quite a bit and still waiting to open new ones. We have really worked through United States region, is really cleaned up. I'm working on Europe. So there are some delays in opening new chapters because we're really trying to focus on the regions. And there is some game plan about trying to see how to make chapters, have members, and how to help promote them. Everyone who wants to open a chapter, any guidelines, has to have a conference call with me. We request, obviously, that you read the chapter handbook. We will send out some updates in the next few months because we will be updating things. And also, JIRA. You want to get paid, you need to know JIRA. Also, so everyone needs to look on that. You have that up there?
Well, I have chapter numbers, but actually there.
Yeah. Reimbursements get paid twice a month. Mid-month, end of the month, the board has to approve, just sign off. The quicker your co-leader approves your JIRA request, the reimbursement request, the quicker you get paid.
Can I jump in for half a second?
Yep.
Yeah, just the process is, you submit your thing, co-leader approves it, goes to accounting, right, to be paid, and then on the 15th and the 30th, they batch all those up, put them in a report for the board goes, yay, merrily go forth and conquer, and then they get paid.
And they will get paid not the next day, they usually get paid, it takes, because of banking, a few days.
A couple of days, yeah.
So, lately, we're really caught up, everyone's around, and, you know, we're good on that.
Working pretty smooth.
Obviously, smaller chapters, the basics right now are, in order, any new chapter, in order to receive $500 seed fund, you must have 2 chapter leaders.
Good one.
No one, I think this is simple saying, no one can spend money that they don't have without approval. Common statement, not really. So basically, if you want to have an event and your budget doesn't have money, you need to have pre-approval. Just because you ask doesn't guarantee it's going to be approved. So don't spend and book a venue that hasn't been approved by the foundation. A lot of times now I will get help from other chapters to help a chapter. We'd like to do a lot of things with students. We like to start doing stuff with the women in AppSec, so we're trying to gear towards that. Also, the chapters. We have a lot. We are up to, last I checked, 220 chapters.
Yes, that's. Yeah, I did the slides out of order. My bad.
Yeah.
Oops, right there.
We have 220 chapters. We do have a virtual chapter if anyone's interested in doing completely. So right now we've really cleaned up United States, working on Europe. The other regions are starting to clean up. Some are not active. So standard procedure is the wiki page must be up to date at all times. If you choose that you don't want to use the wiki to up to date, you have to have a meetup page, which we can Harold will set up for you. But that link must be on the wiki page so some people can check to see where your meetings are listed. Go.
So a couple of our chapter leaders don't have access to the meetup. Like when I have access to the meetup page, but when I go ahead and accept the organizer request, it asks me to pay. But then my chapter leader has reached out to other people so that I can get access to it and I can set up the meetups.
So is your meetup through the foundation or is it your own chapter meetup?
Foundation.
So we can add how many administrators per? Is there a limit?
I don't know if there is a limit.
So email me. Don't expect a response till Monday or Tuesday when we get back.
Yeah.
And we'll check. Email me with a list
Yes.
of who needs to be administrators. Yes. Also, chapters are now 3 chapter leaders is the limit.
Okay.
If you want to name other people, treasurers, different things, but we only acknowledge 3 chapter leaders. Any more on the?
No.
a lot of people to join our meetup because the chapter doesn't have to pay the monthly fee. Harold is the one who sets up all the meetups for the chapters. So it's 3 chapter leaders, we set up the meetings, the JIRA, trying to think else. Oh, also, a lot of people are setting up meetings that you need insurance for. Some of the venues request insurance, you request that to me, I need at least 45 days, depending on the insurance, how quickly to get it. It's a little harder to get an ongoing certificate of insurance, so it's easier to tell me in the basics, if you're serving alcohol, what the date is and what the time, and the quest about approximately how many people are gonna be at the meeting. I'm trying to think. Regions, insurance. On the merchandise, as of last week, I got a whole bunch more photos. I will be putting that all up within the next 3 weeks, all the other merchandise we have stocked. We need about a week just to know, depending when it gets sent, if it's Friday, I can't ship it out to Monday. We're going to start working on putting some merchandise that you can with a vendor in Europe, because the shipping cost for some stuff is so much money for you when I ship from the United States. So that, we're working on.
Yeah,
The
we're working
stickers
on-
are up there now.
We're talking to a vendor currently, and if
Yeah.
that work pans out, we'll have one in Europe, so at least we would not have to ship stuff across the Atlantic to get them to this side of the pond.
If a chapter is new and they need help and responding, just to start off meetings, more than willing to help send flyers and stuff. We will not be sending swags for your first meeting. If you need, we're not gonna send backpacks, we're not gonna send t-shirts, we'll send you flyers. We'll bring you to the wiki page for the branding. Now we have stickers up there. We'll promote it on Twitter account for you, we'll promote it on the Facebook. We'll send you the links to, we can do LinkedIn. What's the other one I'm missing?
LinkedIn, Twitter,
Facebook.
Facebook, both group and page.
Meetup.
Meetup,
Meetup, we can do that too,
Yeah.
because currently, we're close to 10,000 on a meetup, the members, with all the
Yeah.
different groups.
I don't remember exactly, but yeah.
Harold, we're about 10,000 on meetup?
I
Approximately?
can give you that number.
Okay.
Just say approximately
Yeah.
10,000, plus or minus 10,000.
So the goal is to make the chapter successful the best way we can. Communication, if you let me know, we can post blogs about an upcoming event you have, we can tweet about it, help you promote it. The goal is to make all chapters successful, and I'm blanking out here, sorry. So we have so many regions, 3 chapter leaders.
Yep.
Self-sufficient we want the chapters to be. So I'm now trying to clean things up, and like we said, we're gonna put the merchandise on, we're gonna find stickers and different things that you can get locally, so you don't have to waste expense to bring to the meeting. Flyers are always available.
Yep. Oh, one thing we probably should say, because we were talking about this the other day, is if you have if you know somebody in, I don't know, where am I? I'm in England. If you know somebody in Poland wants to start a chapter, that's awesome. Let us know about it, but we're gonna reach out to that person. Send Dawn an email that says, hey Dawn, there's this guy named so-and-so in Poland, and he and somebody else are wanting to start a chapter, and Dawn can reach out to him and handle that. So if there's someone, that you know who's interested, let Dawn know, and we'll reach out to them and make sure
Yeah,
they.
I usually do is always set up a conference call with the pending chapter leaders and go through the whole process. For the record,
Question, by the way.
oh, sorry.
How long does that take? Because I've sent some new chapter requests, and then some of them have been writing me, they're like, it's been this many months. and-
Right now, it has
Right
been
now?
months,
Okay.
because we're starting from scratch, cleaning
Okay.
things up. Now, I completed United States and working on Europe, then I had AppSec, so it wasn't fair to start. So when I get back in the next week or so, I have calls scheduled again.
Oh, good.
Also, we're gonna go review, and when we start to figure the different regions, we have to also say, everything is not guaranteed just because you requested, because I might have something very close. I know at one point we had a local chapter, 4 different people requested to start the chapter. And
The
none of
same
them
chapter.
wanted to work with each other.
Oh, really?
So,
That's quaint.
it's,
Yeah.
first email I opened, kind of as the person I set up the call with, who all had their different people. So we are backed up a little, because I've just taken it over, but we're working our way through.
Cool, good.
Any other questions? I know I talk kind of fast.
That's so good.
Okay. Karen, any input?
Well, I think what we've maybe I'm jumping ahead of your slide.
Do whatever.
No,
It's
we're
like-
kind of, yeah.
We're pretty laid back here, man. I
just
am.
think that what we've recognized is that, you know, the community is hugely, hugely important. And that, chapters are the foundational elements that force the community up towards a foundation. And there's probably a gap in our engagement levels, and how do we as your team support you but yet maintain the guidelines of the foundation and ensure equitable support and distribution amongst all community members and chapters. And that's been a little bit of a challenge, and I think Matt will show you some charts of what it looks like. So we're very fluid with the chapter process. We want the community to be a part of it. We want to understand more, at least I know I do and Matt does, what do the chapters look like, how do they function. There's a huge variation amongst different levels of activity amongst chapters. And so what Dawn did was the basics. First we had to clean it up. There were so many variations on how we treated chapters and funded chapters and managed chapters. And now we want to start back to the basics with the understanding that you guys are everything for this foundation. And if it weren't for you having your meetings and pulling these people in, we wouldn't all be sitting here together today. So bear with us, be patient, and guide us, because you know what you need, and we don't know what we don't know. So Matt will share with you a little bit more. We're trying to understand who you are, and then find out the best way to serve the different types of chapters that we have out there to ensure that we are also, always bringing us closer together as one global foundational unit.
So I did some surveys, sorry, we started to realize, I think we were at anywhere from 23 to 25% of our chapter leaders and members, that's it. We started to realize certain chapters have less than 10 members. They might have a list of 1,200 people, only 10 members are OWASP members. So that kind of stuff we're gearing towards to start researching and figure out, our game
How do we
plan.
incentivize to make membership more interesting to chapter members, who attend chapters, to actually become member members?
Some of the chapters I've seen have a problem where someone is the leader, or there's a group of people that are leaders, and they don't want to hold meetings unless it has to do with their company or product, or they just aren't active anymore, but they won't let someone else take over that chapter.
Anyone who doesn't have an active chapter, there's issues, they need to bring it to us, and we go from there, and there's stages, then we contact them, because I'm also looking at, there are requirements for so many meetings a year. And if you see, when I did United States and Europe, there were a lot of chapters who've become inactive.
Yeah.
And I've gotten a lot of emails from chapter leaders, because if you're a chapter leader, you're not a member, you lose your OWASP email address, you're taken off the calendar, you're taken off certain lists, then they're like, oh no, we're active. Well, it's not on here.
Yeah.
So then, then the communication starts again. So we go from there. So I have a few people say, okay, I'll fix everything.
If someone's been a chapter leader for a really, really, really long time, so some chapters, that's the case, and they won't let anyone else be a leader. Like, this is my empire. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, if that was the case, that's
very well
a
put.
perfect use for the governance committee, which they're gonna talk about in the board meeting, or maybe you've talked about already, I don't know, I think there was a board meeting that happened earlier.
I just think maybe
But-
check in with those chapters. Our chapter's really happy, but I know other chapters.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
they have to also let me know, because I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have some board members in here, like Martin, who can chime in, on how to
I guess it's hard if you're this young person who's I really want to be involved, and then the people at that chapter level are just no.
May I take this? Sorry, I'm trying to. We have a problem in general. OWASP is a don't ask but do organization. And we have people claiming a chapter, either being not active or whatever they do, and then just holding on to this position or saying, you're allowed to do my chapter if you do this. There's a different understanding even in the global organization on what is non-for-profit, what is beneficial, and how to act. We have people who call themselves chapter president or whatever, chapter vice president, or we have chapter leaders, and you are supposed to do stuff. Chapter leader is not a role where you can have benefits, as I see it, but you have responsibilities. And if you don't live up to responsibilities, and someone else will step in, we have no formal process for that, and luckily we have very few cases seen the size of our community, but we have to support them or think about the guidelines. As it's something that I always say, board responsibility is to help you to create the rules so everybody can play the game nicely. Because we have transparent and expectations. If there's a problem with that and a guideline is broken or not sufficient, we have to update them together with the community. It's not that we are ruling this, we are trying to create for you the guidelines so you can play the game. But this is happening over the years. Now and then, like 1 or 2 cases, I think, in every 2 or 3 years. The question would be, do we require an official procedure for that? And if somebody says it's not active, Dawn is just taking this up and is doing a video to the regional auditors. And if they're not responsive, I think that's resting the case.
Yeah.
So we give them some sufficient time. I know some people don't daily or multiple times they check their OWASP emails. So we have a time, I think a month, they have time to.
Yeah, they have, if for some, the chapter has not been active in, let's say, 5 months, when I do the audits, and the audits will end up being twice a year, I send her out a red flag. Now, when I started this, some of these chapters have not been updated on the pages for 2 years. A lot of them shut down. And then I send them the email that your OWASP, you know, the whole bit, you know, is gonna be deactivated. But also, if it becomes that, like you were just saying, they can reach out to me, and if they weren't really involved, we can reach out to those chapters to see, and they can also help with projects. There's so much you can volunteer for if you're finding there's a personality situation, because there's so much to do here.
But I think you see already a huge shift for the foundation. With 206 chapters, you have 2 people now. Dawn does the dirty work, she's good at it. She
Much
peruses
more
all the
meticulous than
requests,
me.
cleans them up. And that, you know, Matt's gonna work on the community and the relationship and the engagement level and the services. And the 2 of them are a great combination. So you get your stuff paid, you get your budgets up to date, and then we also find better ways to engage, make it easier for you to be successful, because there's no need to create a chapter if we don't want you to be great, right? So we want you to be great, we wanna find out how to do that, and you are the best at helping us to understand what that means.
I can relate, sorry for that. I know in the past we had an initiative about chapter mentors, like successful long-time chapter leaders, helping new chapter leaders how to get speakers, how to get funding, how to get whatever, how do I operate, how do do whatever. And I think that was a great initiative. Unfortunately, that was not long-lived, but that might be something we can look into again.
It's funny you say that, because I've already talked to a couple chapter leaders that I know are good and active, and said, hey, after EU is done and I can breathe again, I want to.
Funny what I'm saying?
No. But I want to reach out to them and get like a lessons learned, what worked for you, and get sort of an a la carte menu of like, these are things that work for chapters. Because the other thing that's really interesting about chapters is you have chapters that are like 3 people in Omaha, and that's like the 3 people that are security people in that community, period. Right? And then you have like, you know, New York or London that has a large body of people, right? So it's also, I don't want to just say the only way to do it is like a New York, London model when you're a small group or a big chapter or a little chapter. So
and the local dependency, so this is different we do with the US and Europe, the North and Southern Europe.
Well, Germany's kind of a different thing with the Stammtisch, if I'm saying it right, which I'm probably not, because I'm American. But yeah, so like
it's very local, it's depending on the area.
And so I like the idea of gathering like these things worked, and you can pick from them what makes sense for your chapter. I don't want to say you must do A or B or C, but here's like a big menu, and what do you want? Order it.
Yeah, here to enable.
And I did receive, Sam sent me today, because he has a video that he uses in his area that I got for us to go over next week.
Oh, cool.
Or, you know, within the next week, and then we're gonna discuss and maybe set up with a meeting with him. We did talk about, I don't know what month we're gonna start, we're gonna go back to, having at least monthly chapter leader meetings, like different time zones, obviously, so I can get feedback, but he needs to clean up a little more, so I know what I'm working with, and then, and Matt's back, so we have to figure out the times on that one.
Welcome back.
Yeah, it's
So
good to be back.
It's good cop, bad cop, and you're actually a good cop.
Yes.
I don't know, I'm like second tier escalations when they're really ugly and hairy.
My new word for 2008
Which is okay.
from Karen is no. Oh, I need to do that first. No, I have to do that.
Well, we do really need to, like, getting our stuff in order.
Yeah.
Is a good thing, and very important, because it's hard for us to serve you when we're stumbling over systems that aren't working for us internally.
If I may just say that for you guys, I know that a lot of project leaders and project leaders are frustrated. They send an email and they're like, hey, nobody replied to me today or next week. And to give I think, understanding what they're dealing with, as we said, 206 chapters. I don't know how many projects we have.
220.
Sorry?
220.
220.
Chapters, yeah.
And that's only the active ones, and you have the started chapters, everything they're organized in local chapters, so they get flooded by email. So if your email doesn't get replied the next day, it doesn't mean it's not been read. So we are active, and they did a lot of jobs, big jobs for the AppSecEU conference. So when email is an asynchronous communication, so you send an email and it will be written, and you get a reply, but maybe not the next day. Please be aware of that too. That they have a lot of people they handle for, and I think they do a great job doing so.
And it is a little harder right now because I just started to clean up, and I did get 2 regions, but I can't really open chapters in regions that I haven't researched and done that way. And
We're
then
not even
plus,
sure, we're not even sure if that chapter that is there that we're telling you can't have because there is one, actually is one, or
Yeah.
isn't one, or, like, yeah. We'd like to be able to answer you accurately, which would be good.
I'd like to chime in on Martin said. I think nobody's questioning the hard work you put into this. I think it's just extremely challenging to like supervise 200 chapters. I mean, I do not really see how it could possibly work smoothly. They can tell you anything about their chapter somewhere in the world, and you need to believe them in the end.
well, what happens
Yeah.
now, I find that things are running smoothly is that when we follow the guidelines. So now I have like yours, I know on these chapters, everyone has posted on the wiki a meeting within so much time. I know that if they didn't, they no longer have an OWASP email address as before. If you're not a member, your email address is gone. Things that you've had, that you're not supposed to have if you don't do A, are now really being taken back, and then people are saying, okay, I want that. I want that
Yeah.
OWASP email address, I want that. And then, like Harold, we have the meetup, more people involved. So, yeah, it is a lot, but once we get everyone on the same page, then it's red flags when it's not happening.
And the other thing to mention here too is that things like Meetup, the Meetup Pro in particular, has an API, and we can do some interesting stuff that I'll talk about in a couple slides. But we can also, once we get things settled and we have sort of audited and cleaned up the books, we can go and say, look, whatever, if we could pull the API and say, for this chapter, has it had a meeting in X period of time? It hasn't, flag it. And we're not manually clicky, we're letting the API tell us, right? And those kind of automation things can happen once we have clean data. We do it now, and it's like
Unique
meeting
things,
based.
yeah.
Because we look at now, like, we're trying to, with the insurance, someone needs a certificate of insurance because they want a venue. There's gonna be now set up, that this is who you contact, this is how many days before, and if I could get the chapter leads and different people to follow those guidelines, things can be, I can't get you a certificate of insurance for tomorrow.
No.
It just it's not gonna happen, even if I want
We get
to.
those requests.
I
And
do,
those-
all the
Those
time.
are the things that suck us in, and then
Sure.
we can't get to you guys who are going 6 months from now, I need one. So
Yeah, it's a
I
possible
think
thing.
what Dawn's trying to say is we're gonna go back to the basic guidelines that we've already established, we're not changing anything, we're gonna
Makes a
review
good-
how they work.
Makes a lot of sense.
And then we'll come
yeah.
back to you and say, these guidelines don't function well with who we are today. What do you guys think about a change?
Yeah.
And you'll hear some complaints because we're going to start, structuring the way chapters operate again and stick to the guidelines. So you will hear some people probably say things that are not so positive because they're not used to having some guidelines. But it's only fair and equitable and
Yeah.
right that everybody adhere to the same rules.
I think-
And then we can serve you better is what Dawn's saying. That we know how to serve you better.
I think it's comparable with people, startups being the agile smaller company, and then you got more mature. In the past, you just call the other guy and say, do this or do that, and now we need it's so big that we need a process to make it transparent.
Yeah, to your
Just
point,
to
to your point earlier, I was curious when I was doing the deck last night, and I did the math. And so if Dawn only worked on chapters, and she does way more than chapters, and divided her time equally amongst those chapters, you gotta step out of the way. You're
Sorry.
blocking my transition, man. I worked hours on this. 11 minutes per week she'd have for your chapter. So I was wondering, because I was like, dang, I didn't realize it was that many. So yeah, it's
We have to
we're
clone
trying to make things with the least amount of variation so we can handle them quickly and promptly and automate and do what we can. But with the snowflakiness and the not so awesome data right now, it's hard to get there. But we're through the US, we're mostly through Europe, and then we knock the rest out.
Yeah, and we are moving, like, for me, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I was under 200 emails a day, I was doing the happy dance. I'm down to now 100 emails a day, I'm doing that. Last week I was down to 20. I was very
20?
happy, like that I haven't seen in a while.
We trade.
We don't talk about it.
Question, so why we can't use a open communication method like emails, like staff is limited number, right? Maybe some volunteer knows about the question the member is asking or the chapter leader is asking, so they can ask. So we can use discourse. If we have a discourse community site, and if we have this chapter section or something, anyone can answer there. They don't have to wait staff.
Beautiful, beautiful thing, and you're about 3 slides ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, but that is exactly what, yes, because there's some of these things that we don't have to answer, and I'd much rather put them
Yes.
in a more public forum.
Also,
And the-
it's like a duplicate answers, and
Yeah.
then people will ask for the same.
You know the problem, people don't read the FAQ.
Well, but if they are in discourse and it's crawled by Google, Google can at least index it.
Yes.
And if I like OWASP chapter, how do I, and
Most of my questions are activities that have to be done, opening chapters, insurance, a lot of stuff, getting reimbursed for money, checking things like that the community doesn't really have
yeah,
to
you're much
answer.
more, her job is much more like
Yeah, a lot of the
operational.
stuff like OWASP email addresses have been passed on to someone else, and the IT stuff, Harold's been doing some glitches on that he's working through. But a lot of the questions I'm doing, I'm putting out fires. And the more I streamline things, the less fires I have to put out, because it's standard procedure. And some of these things I thought would work, don't work. Some of the things that people suggested, I have some community members said, why don't we try this, and it's working.
Work great.
So I can't, like Karen said, we can't make a judgment until I clean up the rest. And I do have some, I talked to Martin, and I think it was Owen, and I said there were some regions I really don't know anything about. And I don't know, like I know New York, like everyone's saying Brooklyn technically is 8 miles away. Well, it's still a totally different community. So I don't know in India or in certain regions how far anyone is, different things. So I can't make a judgment call. So I've said Martin's gonna help me and other people are gonna help me. So we need to and once we figure all that out, we can also gear towards getting these communities to work together. Because at times Brooklyn works with New York City, Long Island does an event together. So if we have these little groups, I can pair them off with a bigger group. But I'll be honest, I'm not there yet. I don't have that knowledge yet in certain regions, and I'm not gonna say that I do. It's a long process, but I really do feel very strongly about this, that we are moving forward. As crazy it is for everyone and the wait period isn't the greatest, we've cleaned up so much in the last 3 months, and the change with this venue and everything, and to get out everything, I think we're doing pretty good. That's my personal opinion, but what's the next slide?
That was it for your stuff.
Any questions for me?
I didn't want to hold you from registration for too long if you needed to be down.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
So my
We'll
chapter is
register on
funding,
camera.
Yes,
the one in Ghana.
yes.
You mentioned this $500 thing if you have 2 leaders. Well, we have 2 leaders. How do we apply for it and what can we use it for?
You've already been assigned it. I send it, once I get the second leader, I send a memo to accounting, and say I send you June 5th, it will be put in the July budget. I have the donation scoreboard numbers, I'll get posted for the morning, because they just sent it to me and I
Oh, we
wasn't
got 'em.
flying.
Oh, yay.
All numbers on the chapter section on the donation scoreboard list on the bottom are 30 days behind, because accounting needs 30 days to close their books. Once I clean up the rest of the regions, we'll go back to the individual chapter transaction reports, but I don't wanna post something till I have surveyed that region, that the numbers are actually correct. So yours was done 2 weeks ago, so if you didn't hit, you have $500 in your budget.
And we can use that for what?
In the
Meetings,
chapter handbook, there's a list of sort of pre-approved or known expenses. Any of those, or just go do them and let us know. And
Do
if
you
you're
know
doing
where the
something,
handbook is? Have you ever looked at it?
yes,
Yes, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
yes, good. Thank you for asking that.
Another question. Merchandise. You mentioned posting, it's expensive, this and that. Let's have it done in Europe. Unfortunately, not much stuff arrives in where I am.
Right.
Usually just sees what it costs. So, is there any way, I quite hop between there and London or somewhere else?
you can get a local vendor for yourself, yes.
Oh.
Or you could do that, yeah, or
Yeah.
if you come to London a lot, talk to the London chapter. I'm
Well-
sure they would hold your stuff for a little bit, right? You have 2 of them right here. They would
And
hold-
if you have someone by you, like I had a chapter recently, some chapters make their own chapter logo, but it has to be approved by Karen. So if you want to make someone did it, it's orange, I
I
forgot what
must be
state.
also in there now, and kind of all.
Is that Florida? I forget who did that. Yeah.
Someone recently did it, that has to be approved by Karen, but yes, you can get a vendor by you if it's cheaper, cause it is gonna cost me, I can't get around that. Cause
Yeah.
a lot of people have been trying to order the cornucopia cards, they're $7.50 a box, shipping to them is $45 for 3, there's nothing I can do about that. So yes, you can do that, say you go and order 100 t-shirts, you get the receipt, submit it through JIRA, I get a second chapter leader approve it, you get paid within the next pay run.
Another two quick ones.
Sure.
Is there a guideline for getting sponsorship or contacting venues, all that kind of stuff, like boilerplate text that I can use to approach people? Or is
Whoa,
this,
I don't know of any of that existing, but I've never run a chapter, so I've never looked for it. Probably not. But ping me afterwards, and we can, if nothing else, we can shake some big chapters and find out if that exists.
Alright, another thing, membership. I think we already touched on this with Matt as well. While it's all cheap and good for everyone to chip in $50,
Your region, I believe, is $20.
Yeah, exactly. So it's 2 weeks of a pay, $50.
Yeah.
And also, when it comes to the payments, it's going to become a bit challenging in terms of making online payments. So, are there alternative ways of doing that?
Yeah, because the PayPal does not take certain regions anymore. Yeah, talk to me, email me, I'm gonna have to ask the accounting on that one.
You know, like M-Pesa, did you do M-Pesa there? Is that the thing? No?
That was Kenya.
No.
That was Kenya, I knew it's in
Yeah.
some parts of Africa.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Africa exists in America, I'm ahead of most of us.
No, the
M-Pesa, the mobile payment?
No, we have BTS.
Is what?
We have is a cryptocurrency thing.
Okay.
no. I think Andrew Vanderstock a while back got a motion approved to have the membership sort of by region.
Yeah.
They were trying, the idea is to, I'm from Egypt as well, for example, it's the same thing. Like if you tell somebody it's $50 or $60, you might as well be telling them $600 a year or so. And so
That's
the
already
idea-
set up.
Yeah,
There are certain, when you go to register, it asks you what region you are. I wanna say Asia Pacific, there's another one that is only $20 a year.
No, but if $20 is still a small
But
fortune.
we've been talking, I know Dawn and I both been talking to a couple board members about doing something like, the Economist produces something called the Big Mac Index, and attaching that to the pricing.
I would really like that.
Yeah.
But we also have to, you can't totally eliminate everyone down to a certain point either, cause you have to,
Yeah.
we have to be realistic too. Cause reality is, we only have 2,500 paid members out of thousands and thousands of people who come to our meetings. So that's something that we have to look at, why don't we have paid members? Why is people not joining our organization?
Yep.
Cause we could have it just San Jose, it'll be 1,000 people. And they're not all members, but our membership is only 2,500. And that's a big difference. Cause
Yeah.
your chapter could have 100 people, how many are members?
We have 850 meetup members, and we only have 14,
Right.
16 paid members, and I'm one
Yeah,
of them.
and that's very common, and that's
And it's not
something,
unusual.
It's because they don't get absolutely anything whatsoever for becoming a member, except for a high five from every one of the chapter leaders.
You know,
That's
that's
it,
something,
that's the
we're
only time.
very aware of the fact that there's not a particularly
because it's
high
also
incentivized
something,
My high five is really high quality.
yeah, but we also, because we also give, like you look here, chapter lead gets to
Yeah.
come to the meeting for free, gets all this different stuff that other organizations might not do.
Oh, yeah.
So that's something above me,
Being
that's
a-
gonna be
being a leader
decided.
is
It's-
awesome.
Yeah, but that's something the board and Karen would decide on that.
And we're trying to find ways to do both find more incentives and value for being a member, right? And then,
And we can list it down, so that we can, the chapter leaders can circulate among the team, and we can have some flyers when we have monthly meetings.
Yeah,
So
we,
they know,
yeah, we have the membership flyer, it's on the wiki, if you don't wanna have them shipped, you can do that locally.
yeah,
'cause
down
we
when I
just-
print it,
Kinko's or whatever those ones are.
yeah.
Sharif, I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
no, but Matt correctly mentioned getting it to a right level where, for example, if it's by region, you still have, for example, a country like Cambodia versus a country like Singapore, and their GDP are widely
Radically different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what they can afford, those two places can afford are completely different as well.
Yep.
So something like a Mac Industries, you take, for example, the ratio of GDP between the membership in the US and the GDP of the US, and then get that ratio, and then you just basically figure out what the ratios and costs are for each.
And
country.
calculate that once a year and then set
Yeah.
up the registration system and, or the membership system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom, before you head out, as a project colleague, what is really difficult with OWASP headquarters is you're a bunch of people, and there is a lot of movement in this, especially the last 12 months, and
Yeah.
from the contacts, oh, she no longer works here.
Yeah.
And it's hard to really understand what is the right person to approach for a given project. I mean, once you stabilize, I think things will sort itself out.
But right now, it's hard.
Yeah,
It's
So
totally
exactly, yeah. And I'm sure I'm always at the wrong person.
So basically, what we find now is any of the cases put in, 90% membership still goes to Kelly. Everything else, I get pinged every time, and IT goes to Harold, I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense.
Projects.
Uh-uh.
But basically, put in a case and address it to me. Put it on general, and it'll come to me, and I'll find the person. So pretty much, Kelly can tell you any person. Kelly knows more than I do anything. But me or Kelly can tell you who the right person is.
Okay.
And redirect
you-
that to the right.
If
Yeah.
you can't. If you don't know who that right
Yeah.
person is, right?
That is
Yeah.
nice, thank you.
Yeah.
Follow-up question, who's in charge of the Twitter account? So, for
Twitter account is Karen technically.
Which one?
All right.
There's like 12 of them.
Okay, let's say the OWASP
The OWASP
account.
one, yeah, that's mostly me and Karen.
You and Karen,
Yep.
good to know, thank you.
Yep.
But I do want to say, going forward, once we get all the chapters cleaned up, I'm going to have chapters send me directly, and I will post for them on the Twitter account, Facebook, and so on.
Yep.
So then it's one person for chapters.
Perfect.
So there was something that I've been trying to do for a very long time, which is to get our speakers to log into maybe the OWASP blog or something.
Yep.
And I'd also like my peers and chapter leads to think
Mhm.
about that if they have an interesting talk. They can do a really deep technical one, we can put it on the blog, and it's mutual interest. They'll get known and they'll have it published on OWASP, and at the same time we'll have interesting content that will be useful.
Yeah, we have not told anybody no who gave us
Yeah.
content. I mean, I would absolutely take it right now today, no questions asked. And,
We-
and another thing to what you were saying is the other thing we're trying to do, and we haven't, because we were small and scrappy, and it, like you just knew, you emailed Kate for anything, or Allison for accounting, but they're both gone, and what do? We're trying to start also putting sort of, like subject area email addresses to things. So if there is a reimbursements, we make a reimbursements at OWASP, and then we can set as a Google group who that goes to. You don't need to know under the covers, I just know I email
Yeah,
this, and that's,
so-
like we do that for the treasurer. The
So we
treasurer
all
of the
up-
board is
That
that
is
as
a
a
good
treasurer at
response
OWASP.
to my question.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is, we're looking at the cases, because I've never liked how the Salesforce cases work, because once you submit that, unless we email you back, there's no way you know what's going on with that. Like, I have to push to you any kind of notification, you can't go back and look at the queue.
Yeah.
So Harold and I are investigating ways to replace that with a system that gives the submitters much better visibility. Because as staff, I can see everything, but you guys can't.
Yeah.
And you would know, oh crap, Dawn has 400 things in her chapter queue. I just submitted 401, gonna be a while,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you don't know that right now, because you're the only one, as far as you know when you submit, in the normal cases
Sure.
now. Yeah, so that kind of feedback loop we're trying to get in place. And should help both of those.
Yeah, I think so too.
Anyone else?
Last chance.
Thank you, Don.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm gonna chat for a wee little bit, then I'm gonna hand it over to Harold, and then if we have time, I may chat for a wee little bit more. So yeah, my point is, if you haven't figured out, the foundation staff is pretty thin. There's all of 6 of us, FTEs. So what we really ask of you is just a little bit of patience. We're really working hard to get the systems nailed down and straightened out and audited and cleaned up, because like you mentioned, there's been a little bit of chaos, and we just have to clean up from the chaos, and we'll be good. So please give us a bit of patience. And number 2, like, allow us to simplify things. Right now, when I was paying invoices last fall, I would get an email that says, hey, I need you to pay this invoice. And it could be in Meetup Pro, any one of the individual chapter meetups. It might be an Eventbrite, or Eventbrite, and that's not a typo. I know of 4 different Eventbrite accounts that I might have to go log in and pay. And then there's Doorkeeper 2 for the chapters in Japan. So, like, when I have to go pay an invoice, I have to go figure out which of these things it is sometimes. So we're trying to like whittle these things down to systems that solve 80 to 95% of the problems and then use them all over the place. So that I don't have to fish through 10 different things to find what it is. And like CFPs can be an easy chair or submittable or OpenCFP or papercall.io. And if I need to help you with that, like I only know one or two of those a bit. I don't know the other one at all. And so I might not even log into it. So we're trying to like figure out systems where we can have like the thing that you do is here and it's going to solve your problems. And if we need to talk and figure out an exception, that's fine. But I'd rather 90% of the people use the norm. And if we have exceptions, we'll figure out how to handle those, right? Maybe the system isn't right, who knows? And as we start to make these choices, I'm going to be very vocal about this is what I'm thinking. Tell me if this won't work for you. Otherwise, we're going forward. Because this was nuts. When Kate left and I started paying the bills, it was insane. Because they're like, hey, pay it on Eventbrite. I'm like, I looked at Eventbrite, it's all paid. No, not that Eventbrite, the other Eventbrite. I'm like, there's another Eventbrite? Oh my goodness, and I find another Eventbrite. And well, that one says paid too. No, it's not that one anymore, the other Eventbrite. So, yeah, so this just has to be cleaned up. So that's what we need a little bit of patience for. Other things we're wanting to do is revive the chapters and projects committees that used to exist and then died and I think need to come back. Because I think we lost a really good feedback loop from the members that are out there doing things for OWASP, right? The projects committee and the chapters committee in particular, those are our active people in their membership. We need to have a way for them to tell us things that's more effective, right? So get a committee going, and if as a chapter you have a problem, you can talk to the chapter committee, and if they need to have the foundation do something, they can talk to us, right? It's a way, and if they've already handled it, they can just tell the chapter, oh, by the way, this is what you do. Because a bunch of people that are in a chapters committee probably know chapters much better than me. I've never run one. So why not have that committee kind of handle those things, provide feedback and all that. And then this is very early days for me, but I'm trying to figure out ways to handle maturity levels and incentives for chapters. And I had this is very soft and squishy in my head. I have no hard and fast rules. I'm thinking about this. But there's really no distinction between chapters. Like I was saying earlier, I'm picking on Omaha, and I don't know if that was it. A small rural part in the U.S. that I can't remember came and talked to me, and they said, we literally have 7 people that meet once a month. And is it okay if we're also OWASP and ISSA and ISACA? Because like we're the 7 people in this small area that care about security. And I'm like, you know what, if you meet the minimum rules for chapters, I don't really care. That's fine, right? We got minimum rules, you do that. You want to commingle with other groups, like whatever, we're friendly. But that's no different than New York or London that are big chapters and do lots of stuff and have tons of members. So we need to figure out a way to understand the measurements and the metrics around chapters. And I don't know that we collect or have that now, but I want to start collecting and having that. So we can make distinctions between what types of chapters you are. And this isn't good or bad. This is like big, small maybe, or you know, active or inactive or something like that. It's not necessarily a judgment. It's more of a understand what kind of chapter you are. We're trying to figure out ways to provide incentives so you can mature. Like, hey, maybe if you get 10% of your people are actual members that attend, maybe we give you, slip you a little bit extra more in your budget, or send you 100 t-shirts, or who knows what, right? Something like that. Some kind of incentives like, hey, if you can help us, we can help you. And figure out a way to help great chapters get recognized and to take that information. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier about talking to active chapters that are successful and say, what are you guys doing that works? So we can put that in a some sort of consumable format for new chapters, so they can go and say, hey, this is the menu of things that chapters have tried and they worked, or these are things we tried and didn't work, and let them have a little bit of sort of shared knowledge of the community before they, particularly for new chapters who are just kind of wide-eyed deer in headlight, like what do I do, right? Oh, and I talked a little bit about this Meetup Pro. So the OWASP Foundation has a Meetup Pro. We handle billing. I would love it if everybody was just there and we just paid one bill. We're not there yet, but we'll get there. We're close. Harold has done a lot of migration, which is fantastic. We also had somebody create a MediaWiki extension that if you add a simple tag in your wiki, it will take your stuff in our Meetup Pro and post it automatically to your wiki page. Done. Here's your wiki. Yeah. Well, I have an example. Got it right here. The Ottawa chapter does that. And if you let me see if it'll let's see if it's open. Here's my pointy. There it is.
Live demo.
Live demo. So here's the Ottawa chapter.
And then if you go down a bit.
You scroll down a bit. What part is auto-generated? I don't know. This all looks like normal MediaWiki. Oh wait, this chapter meetings is auto-generated by the plugin. And this is auto-generated by,
It's just one tag, we don't have to do anything.
yeah, this is all generated by,
You
where's
can
that
go-
little tag?
Go way down.
This tag,
No, later.
Meetup
No,
group.
lower.
meetup group.
No, that's to join our meetup, isn't it? If you go lower.
Oh, that's it.
That's it? Okay. Oh,
That's
yeah,
the
that-
tag.
Oh, yeah, that is.
That's it, and you're auto-posting to the wiki. That takes
Alright,
that
that's
requirement of you to do as a chapter leader,
We've
done.
added another chapter.
Right, yay. So these are the kind of things we're looking to do where we can, if we have consistency, we can automate. I can't automate 100,000 snowflakes, but I can automate 200 of the same thing, real easy. So that's an awesome, cool win. And I don't think a lot of people know about that. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
that
we
was,
had a volunteer make that for us, so it's awesome if
Yeah.
everyone uses it.
yeah, we chucked it up to a volunteer and then boom, done. Oh yes, this is very early days where Harold and I are trying to work on figuring out a way that chapters can work with projects and projects can work with chapters. So if you happen to have a project leader that's near a chapter or a chapter wants to has some students in their area that could help on a something, how can we connect the people that have the physical closeness to projects that may not have that physical closeness? And if you have any ideas, we want to hear it. I can't get enough feedback, both positive and negative. I mean, feedback is great.
Thank you.
Just to jump in,
Yep.
I mean, when we say we wanna clean up, that also means we wanna get back to the foundational elements that made OWASP so great.
Yeah.
And that's projects and education and community, right? And those three things come hand in hand. You can't have projects without community, you can't have community without chapters, you can't have projects, community doing well without education and learning. And so we're trying to find a way to bring all those elements together. And so we just briefly chatted how cool it would be to bring certain project summits to regions, to regional events, whether it's a Snowfrock or a LastCon, and find a relationship between the chapter, the people working on the projects, and the project in general, and also bringing maybe people in to learn more. So I think it'd be a very cool thing to do. So we'd love your input on that and see if there, if we can find some traction and some success with that. I think it would be super sweet, but it might be trial and error. This is a fluid next 12 months as we find our way together in redeveloping our relationship and how we engage with the community and with each other.
It's almost like you want a chapter linked to their local university, that's linked to local projects,
Adrian,
and it's cross-fertilized.
taking it just the next step, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. We, as a foundation, we should be absolutely a bridge to the academic world. Because you guys are the experts. I've been to 2 colleges in the Washington, D.C. area that have talked about cybersecurity. And it's very clear that the professors in the colleges are not anywhere near where you are
Yeah.
as experts.
Yeah.
So they don't have the opportunity to. So we need you to be a part of that experience for those young people coming into this industry.
I mean, we have a lot to, as a community, we have a lot to give to the universities in terms of some of the projects that we have, in terms of helping deliver courses to students, experience to students, and vice versa. Students are a resource that can be used
Huge
in
for
projects.
projects.
And I know I've had some conversations with Sharif and Sam about moving that forward. It's something we'll probably carry on after AppSec's over.
Internships, we would love some. We're using Matt's daughter right now.
Yeah, my daughter's an intern.
Yeah.
Ching.
But
Hey,
internships,
Josie.
yeah, any kind of bump of project needs, creative thinking, new ways of seeing things. And that all filters into that one word diversity. That's not about, where you're from or what your sexual orientation is. It's about being different, coming from a different point of view.
I've just been appointed to the advisory board for Canada to help them actually build out AppSec as part of the high school programs.
cool.
So I'm going to ask for advice from a lot of people. So thanks in advance.
I have 2 kids in a STEM school that have a cyber patriots thing, so I'm doing lots with them for some
Cool.
odd reason.
Cool.
Yes.
I think it's a very good incentive, but if somehow we can get a list of the skill sets we need to have to take part in these projects,
Ooh.
that can be communicated out. That was super useful because, like we mentioned earlier on, not everyone is developer, not everyone is big on documentation. But if I know per projects, what do you need right now? Do you need someone to just sit down and write out, or do you need someone to know how to do JavaScript? So if you can define that, and then we can do some sort of filtering,
Yeah.
and just get a list of projects, then I can communicate as a leader. I can just send out to my guys, and hey guys, this thing's coming up. Who wants to get involved? Do you know this and this and this? So you tick the boxes. Go ahead.
Right. Yep, that's awesome. One of the systems we're looking at that did make the deck is a volunteer management system that would tie into our CRM, and those are the kind of things you can flag in there. Like this project has these kind of things, and then you can put a dynamic board that says, I know this, and it would say, well, these 7 projects need CSS or whatever. Yep.
But the reverse is true, and I know Harold's working on classifying projects in certain categories. So if you want to use a project, you know where to go and look. You don't have to go look through everything and try and figure out, is this the one that I want for whatever I'm working on, for whatever application you're in. And so the reverse is true too, you know. And then we can kind of, I see a dashboard that shows you which projects and what color they are, whether they're an incubator or flagship, and they get brighter and stronger as they grow. Yeah, and then we could probably even do a dashboard that would show those that are deficient with, you know, developers or whatever we need, whether they're technical writers, and then people can go, oh, this is something I can do. I didn't know that project needed some help. I'd love to be on that. And then we can link it to a chapter, so if you're in a certain region. And technology's fabulous if we can get it to come together.
Play nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of playing nice, I'm going to give it to Harold, because this is project time with Harold now. So say hi to Harold.
Project time with Harold.
Project
Hi,
time with
Harold.
Welcome, Noah.
Good afternoon.
Before we start with me, I don't know how many of you actually know Karen, but Karen is our executive director of OWASP. So let's start with, you've heard most of this already, challenges for projects. Early on, probably late last year, we were migrating to a new version of our CRM, and that migration didn't quite go as expected. It wasn't even complete at the end of that time. And so a lot of the time that we spent this year is getting that cleaned up and moving forward so that we can get the new projects into our system a lot easier. We still have ongoing vendor fixes that's costing us money, it's taking our time.
The vendor is a problem.
Lots of
Taking
time.
our hair.
Yeah. Yes. And also last year we had lots of churn in the foundation itself. So we do have a backlog of project issues, cases, hundreds of them. So some of the plan to fix some of this. One is to use Jira to handle new project requests, the project promotion requests. And what this will do, by taking it out of the Salesforce, is allow us, as Matt was saying about tracking chapter type things, this will allow us to track, okay, where is this at? You don't have to come to us to know where your project is at in these particular steps. It will be in Jira where you can log in and look at it. We also want to connect the information. What that has to do with is providing APIs, using the APIs that are available to us to connect, say, our financial information to our wiki in the project area, so that if you need your project funds, like how much money do I have, you don't have to wait on me. They'll be listed in the wiki. One of the issues we have right now is that the funds are at least 30 days behind, at least. Sometimes it's 60. You may need your funds pretty quickly. If you're waiting on me, when I'm waiting on them, you're going to get them in a not timely manner. I want to do more project town halls. I don't know how many of you knew about the previous town hall we had in June, I think it was.
I knew about it.
There we go. Well, thanks, Steve. He showed up. We had 2 of them, and it was a little bit late, so some of that's on me, right? I think I told people about it maybe 2 weeks in advance. So for August, we're going to have another one. I will send that out way earlier than 2 weeks in advance, and we'll have more than 2 times. I had 2 times set up. One was for our time as far as lunch time, and then the other time was around 6 our time as well. So that would allow our people to come in at 6 p.m. and people in the UK would be at 6 p.m. on our 12 o'clock time.
And who all can attend the town hall?
Project leaders. That's usually who I send it out to. I send it out to the OWASP leaders list.
Can project members go as well if?
They certainly could. There's
It's
no
not like
reason
it's
why not.
closed.
No, it's not a closed
So you can
system.
come.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things we want to do moving forward is also reintroduction of the project summits. I think Martin was actually talking about that earlier, or maybe it was Sharif. In doing this, we want to take them separate from the big global conferences, make it so that they're more regional and focused on a handful of projects and not this huge spattering of projects. We think that this will provide a breeding ground for new ideas, new projects, how to use the projects differently, maybe integrate the projects a little bit better, like this project and this project are, we find out, hey, they can use each other and bring their own project forward. We want to provide a place where you can get project services. You need a tech writer. Okay, well, you log into our system here, you look at the what's available. This goes to what you were talking about, Ash. You'd have a listing of, hey, I need translation services, so you know that you could go in and say, okay, I can provide that to this project. We do have great projects that continue to come in. The AMAS project that Sharif brought us from Jeff Foley. It is how to put this? It basically looks at the network and does a reverse lookup on DNS subdomains, and ends up turning it into something that looks like this. It's a network map.
Yeah, so it gives you a good idea of what is actually running where. So you can do it both ways. You can give it a bunch of domains that you own and it will just tell you where they are. But you can also do it the other way around, which is you say, okay, this is my data center or these are my external IP ranges. What is running there? And it will go give it to you. But it will also put it in this, this is Neo4j, which is a graph database. So you can actually query that and say, Rackspace, I don't know I had anything in Rackspace, just tell me all the domains that are actually resolving to Rackspace or something like that. And it will show it to you, so you just run this. This isn't just a pretty visualization, this is actually a graph database. You can see the relationships and you can ask some interesting questions. Because now if you know that there are certain sites that you're covering from a security perspective, you can say, well, those I know, and those I'm actually, trying to protect. What else is out there that I don't know about? And then you can actually have it differentiate between the two.
And it's thorough because it found cheesemonkey.owasp.org.
Yes.
Which is what I was using to test my Ansible to deploy Let's Encrypt certs. And I figured, that's a crazy freaking name. Who would guess that? And it's still, it's a stale DNS record, but it found it.
Yes, it also found one that I absolutely love, which is, did you guys know that there's a shortlinks.owasp?
sl.owasp.org.
Yes, sl.owasp.org. If you want to put on Twitter or something a short link that just still says OWASP, you can do that with that domain.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's how I found out about it. So thanks, Amas, and also welcome to the team.
Cool. I have a question about the
Yes.
last slide before you
Oh.
continue. So you said that it would provide translation. So our project is planning videos where we're going to do things in the project and release them, and I was going to pay to caption them. If someone could help with translation, it'd be really cool to have it be available in multiple languages. I don't know what the cost is on that though.
That's part of what we're going to be putting forward is not only will it have people who are interested, but if they charge or if they provide their services for free. I personally have had a handful of requests from people who do translation services, specifically Russian has been a big one,
Yeah.
that want to do translation services for us. So
And that's another place where, like you want to be in Chinese, let's talk to a chapter in China and maybe they'll translate for us, right? We
Yeah.
can also do that kind of connect thing. And the other thing we were talking about is the idea of having services that are either the foundation runs or services that we don't necessarily run, but we know other projects, chapters have used and they're useful. Like maybe we don't necessarily have a login or an account, but this other project had this thing they needed done and they used the service and it was actually useful for them. So if you do find a service or something that's neat and useful, let us know and we'll add it to this list.
Yeah.
So that at least like I now need translation, and you've already been through this video pain and found out that Johnny's good and Sally's bad, and fine, we'll use Johnny, not Sally, or whatever the vendors are, right? We can actually sort of give the vendors a, what do you call it, a curated list of people that have been used and been successful with other endeavors.
Yep.
Okay.
And so I don't really want to shoot myself in the foot for this, but in the meantime, if you need something like that, you can send an email to me, and I will try to do what I can to find something for you. Yeah, but that's just for Tanya. No, I'm kidding. Anybody, just go ahead.
Oh, we had a question in the back.
Oh, yes.
You mentioned project summits. Is that in addition to what Dinas and Co have been doing, or is that combining what they're putting them back into the OWASP fold, or is that how do you see that relationship working?
I think that is something that is an ongoing conversation. We have not finalized anything on that. It might be separate. I can't give you an answer on that because it still hasn't been decided.
Because one of the ideas we were kicking around was tying it to regional events, and if we're, that would obviously not be part of the London Summit thing that happened because, I mean, that is a regional event, but if we did it in Stoverock or in Benelux or one of the other regional events or AppSecIL, whatever, we tied it to one of those kind of events, it obviously would be a smaller sort of summit thing, but we don't know what that thing is yet. We just know we want to have more of them, and we're not exactly sure the shape of them.
I have a question. Sorry.
No, well, you can consider also virtual summits like.
That's another fine yeah, that's a great example of another thing we can pursue. Absolutely.
So there is no problem with locations and compliance. It's happening in London all the time or somewhere else.
Yeah.
Expenses and all the things.
That is one of the things that I meant to mention about the previous Project Town Hall. Steve, whenever he did attend, he had all kinds of great ideas that I've taken into account whenever I'm presenting the things here. So if you can manage to make one of the town halls and bring those ideas with you, we'd love to hear those ideas.
We do that with VIA. We have our monthly connects, and there are global connects via GoToMeeting or WebEx.
There you go.
So that we all can meet up and share our ideas.
Perfect.
So the DevSlot project is thinking about having our own summit, and because I work for Microsoft, that they would just give us a free space and everyone could just attend for free.
That's
So
awesome.
we would advertise whoever wants to come could come.
Sure. I don't know what we want to do with.
Because maybe some tech companies would be okay with just giving us one big room for a few days.
Sure. Right.
Right? Especially if there's an employee that works there that can sign forms and be I'll make sure no one wrecks the place sort of thing.
Right. If you want to get that connected to the OWASP stuff, that's probably Kelly and Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, for co-marketing and the it'd be almost like a
Marketing,
partnership event.
Yeah, because we want everyone who wants to come and just smash away with this.
That's awesome. Speaking of the projects, one of the more recent ones was the rebooted OWASP book project with Sharif and Yay Becky put together. They produced an ebook version of OWASP SAM. And correct me if any of this seems to be a little wrong. It's
And I took his notes and summarized it, so it has many chances of being right.
So it's basically, you take Markdown, you use various tools that eventually produces an ebook as the output. What the end goal is to define the process to produce ebooks through, let's say you have GitHub, you put down your Markdown in the GitHub, you put on a webhook in GitHub that'll run a tool to create your ebook.
Yeah, so that's exactly it. So I'll give you an idea. Sam, just really quick. Sam, when I showed up and I asked them, can I see the artifact so we can update it? They basically said, here's a PDF. I says, no, what's it doesn't matter if it's a Word doc or text or Markdown. So no, it's PDF. And they actually had to use Acrobat Writer to do SAM 1.5, and that's why it hasn't been updated for a while. So we then turn it into Markdown so it's easy to be edited. You can turn it into a web page, turn it into whatever you want. Then we'll be able to create that process so it's easy to automate. If it's in Markdown, then we can take it and so on. What the one challenge that we have right now to get it to a point where we put it into work, sort of the bookstores and so on, that's what we ultimately want to get to, is that Markdown on its own doesn't have like a nice design to it, but the good news is you can put in CSS into it. So one of the things that some of the books have asked is that we have a CSS template. Not mandatory, but if someone chooses to use it, that it's available so that the tables look nice and the diagrams look a little bit neater. So if we have that template, then we'll just introduce it and then basically hand it over to the foundation so that it just becomes a service in a box. Hey, we've just updated a document. We also now want to have it published as a book, and hand it to Harold, and that will be just streamlined. Yep.
Can anyone write a book on something?
Yeah.
Cool.
Of course.
Another nice thing about Markdown, by the way, because I had the same issue when I was asked as a staff member to update the OWASP bylaws. All I could find was PDFs of the freaking bylaws, so I turned them into Markdown, and they're now on GitHub. And when I do updates, I actually do a commit into GitHub with the, this happened in this board meeting, and that's the change. And I take the Markdown and convert it to PDF, and also convert it to MediaWiki text, and shove it in the wiki.
Yeah. And one last nice little thing about Markdown is that even someone who isn't technical, like a writer, can then use it. So Becky, who was the writer that actually took it from PDF and so on, didn't know that much about it and wasn't necessarily the most technically proficient person. Like when she showed up, she was like, what's going on here? And then sat down, here's Markdown, here's a WYSIWYG editor for it. And she did what took about a year of planning in a day and a half to get it done. So, yay team. Thank you.
And to put forward, Sharif is looking for somebody who might know CSS.
CSS,
design
so yeah,
to help them
a
out.
web designer that doesn't mind working with books so that we can finally publish, Sam, the top 10 as well, which we got Andrew's blessing this week, and then package it up, and then anyone who wants to use that process can do that. So yeah, anyone who wants to play with style sheets to create like a template for other books, please reach out to me, and I will, looking forward to working with you. It's a hopefully a pretty straightforward process.
And to your point, yes, absolutely. Anybody who wants to write a AppSec book, absolutely go ahead and do so. And this would allow us to start selling books that aren't dated in 2013.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Various things is left. There's Project Wiki space updates, donation processes. We want to start doing an automated thank you that basically sends it out to the person who donated to a particular project or chapter, where they get a thank you, and then you're notified as the leaders of a project or chapter that these people gave you a donation. That allows you to go out and say, hey, thank you personally as well.
Yeah, I had a company donate to one of my projects, and I didn't know till I happened to look at the scoreboard trying to answer somebody else's question. I went, oh crap, I got money. So yeah, that's a fantastic update.
Yeah. And this recent donation thing would be something that the vision is that on your wiki page or project page, you would have a list that would actually list, here are the recent donations to your project. Project release and update information. We want to get more involved with getting out your project releases. Right now, the way to do that is not very well, it's not staff friendly, let's just put it that way. In the way it's currently done is typically somebody in Slack or on Twitter will make a statement about, hey, our project just did this. We unfortunately aren't able to monitor Slack and Twitter and everything all the time. So from our perspective, we don't know. We don't know until finally somebody lets us know. So we want to come up with a process by which when you do a release, that automatically, you don't have to do it, that will automatically go ahead and let us know that you've done a release.
You can tweet it, we can put it on
Oh,
Facebook
yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
if we know about it.
Another important thing, OWASP Connect the newsletter, right? So
Yes,
everyone
exactly.
can get
Yes,
updates
that too.
on the newsletter.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just, if we don't know about it,
It
we'll
never
make those
occurred to me to
channels.
tell you guys. I really should all the time, like, oh, maybe they would want to know.
Sure, absolutely, because it would help with the marketing part of it. You know, hey, this project has another release. Let's
How
get it
should
out
I
there.
let you know?
Right.
Should I email you? Sorry, what were you
Right
supposed to do?
now? Yes, that is the best way, actually. So go ahead and let me know through email.
I'll show up at his house.
Do that
Just
too.
knock at the window at night and be like,
Texas is
As creepy as possible.
That would be creepy because I do live out in a rural area.
Oh, I think it'd be creepy no matter what.
That's true. Some of the other things is, one of the things that we've been bouncing around, I know that there's currently a project that is aiming to provide a few cloud services that are out there too, but perhaps some OWASP sponsored low-cost, no-cost cloud services, depending on, say, like your project level. Flagship might get a no-cost cloud service, whereas maybe Incubator would have to pay a small fund fee rather. And something that Steve mentioned was having a defect tracker closer to where the project lives, and one of the things he brought up, he would like to see something better than this, but say issues in GitHub, because GitHub's where the source lives. Well, you need to have an issue tracker as well. And for Defect Dojo, he's not in here. We actually have opened up Jira for them to start using that to start tracking things as an experiment. So it's possible that we can use our own Jira.
Yeah, for Defect Dojo, I know this because I know the project well. They actually have Jira integration, and they want a way to do CI/CD tests to make sure their Jira integration doesn't bust. And we have a Jira account, so Defect Dojo wired into the Jira account so that they can actually do that testing without having to actually pony up for a real Jira account. So now when their CI/CD runs after a commit, they can actually push stuff back and forth from Jira and make sure that the Jira stuff didn't break or whatever last PR came.
And I think that is it for me. The rest is
Me?
Matt.
Uh-oh. You get me again, I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure.
We'll find out.
Thank you, Harold.
Thanks, Al.
Yes, welcome, Harold.
Thank you for all the stuff you're doing with the project. As a project person, I think it's very cool.
I have a few other quick things, and then we will be done, I promise. Website reboot. Haven't forgotten this. It may have been paused when I wasn't around and things were chaotic.
Oh my gosh, really? It's
I haven't forgotten this. This has been a thorn in my side for ages.
You're gonna
Trust
ruin
me.
my joke though about like, have you seen our wiki? 1994 called, and they want their website.
Yeah, my daughter was like, "Oh, you're Wikipedia." I'm like, "Well, no, I don't work for Wikipedia." Yeah, no. Harold has been doing so good, and this is why I haven't done it, because if you've seen any kind of stylistic thing I've done, you're looking at it like it ain't pretty. Harold is much better at UI and graphics than me, and he has patience for it, and I don't. He's been POCing a lot of different changes to make the style side of the wiki much better. I have a meeting next week with a consultant or a contractor that we're considering hiring who understands MediaWiki content organization side of things, like categories and how to actually make sanity into the organization of the insanity that is our spaghetti wiki.
I want to interrupt him right there because I do want to point out the fact that I did put in making ugly less ugly, because there's nothing you can do to make it
Super
fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and we're also, I'm looking at a bunch of different things, and there's some possibility of switching out our CRM system, and that CRM system has a way to front it with a much more public general website. So maybe we front the wiki with a more public website-y thing. I don't really know, but all options are open, because what we have now doesn't. I mean, it works because it answers on port 443 and 80, but that's about where the excitement ends. So we will make this better. We know it's not awesome. I was going to show you one example of this as I was playing around. I drive over my back. Did I get the wrong link in here? No, I didn't. So I was playing around this was what did I figure, June of 2017, before things went crazy, before Kate and Allison left and my life went sideways. I was playing around with actually using categories properly and chunking the information in the wiki based on a usage case. So if you're interested in OWASP projects, here's things. If you're interested in contributing, here's things. If you want to actually, if you're a leader, here's things. Because right now we have this gigantic tabified mess that's the project page that I can't find crap in it, and I've been doing projects since 2008. God help somebody who's just new to OWASP and trying to find something. So this is like conceptually what we wanted to do. And if you look at it, do categories correctly, you can do interesting things like have auto drop downs of like all the flagships. This isn't actually accurate. I only have 2, but like this is, you can actually do these auto-generated lists of projects on places because they're categorized correctly. Right now though, there's projects, project, OWASP project, OWASP projects, categories. We actually have over 500 categories in the wiki right now. It's insane. And so the other nice thing is if we can get the structure sane, we can do automation, like if a new category gets created and we don't know about it, like what the heck, let's go look. Did somebody get creative when they made a wiki page? Do we need to go fix that? Do we need to do a little maybe education of a new chapter leader who added a weird tag and it didn't work like they thought? Like, we can't do that now because it's just spaghetti as it is. So if we can get here, we can actually start moving forward. And the other one that was brought up earlier, discourse.
Yay!
I'm killing Mailman. I hate Mailman. Mailman is a pain in my existence. It's awful. I want it to die. Love Mailman. No, it's awful. I mean, it's awful to admin. It's awful in terms of features. It's way the heck out of date. It just needs to go away. And I want that to be discourse. I wanted that to be discourse before, and I just never got to it, and now we'll do it. But for no other reason, we're trying to migrate off of the host on which this lives, and it has to go somewhere. So my plan is to take a sort of static snapshot of all of the archives of old lists. We'll put that on a static web server, and it can just sit there so that we still have Google foo, and otherwise we'll migrate everything to discourse.
Yeah, so one note on that, because a lot of people, if you have any of the emails stuck inside the queue because of Barracuda, right? So just email to Harold, right? And he'll be able to release your email from the queue. So he helped our chapter a couple of times. But yeah, so Mailman has to go while it's still there. If you have problems, just email.
Actually, I would put in a contact us because Harold or I can do it, and that way Dawn can get to whoever's free. That's a better way to get it, because either one of us can do that. Unstick it, every once in a while they get caught. Because guess what? Like sometimes people talking about like attacking web apps get categorized as hacking. It's really weird. Right? So you're like, oh, okay, fine, I know this guy, he's a leader. He's talking about this weird exploit thingy, and you know, Barracuda lost its mind and said it was awful, which it would be if it was a corporate network, but it isn't, so fine, let it go. And by the way, bless this guy to send going forward, right? We can do that stuff. That's easy.
So is there a plan to migrate the mail list, or to, how would you manage the mailing list that you have?
The plan is to ask the owners of the mail list. Well, and we have 900 and some odd mail lists. I think it was, I don't remember, it's been about a year since I did numbers, but I think it was roughly 15% of those actually had a post within a year. So we have loads of cruft. But those that are actually active, and my definition of active is you've had a post within a year, which is a pretty loose definition of active. I will ask the owners, is this thing worth keeping? And if they say yes, we'll take the list of people that are on Mailman and email them and say, hey, this thing is going away. If you want to, here's a link, go add yourself to Discourse. Because I don't want to force subscribe them to Discourse, but I want to give them the option.
So it's for the members.
It's for everybody. The other thing that I like Slack. I think Slack is pretty cool, but the other thing that's really unfortunate about Slack is that it's not indexed by Google. And so if you answer a really cool thing about how to fix something in Java on a mail list, at least that was indexed by Google, but that's not in Slack. So like OWASP has a lot of good advice that gets hidden in Slack. So let's unhide it by putting it on Discourse. That's kind of one of my main thrusts about Discourse.
What is the
When are you estimating that we can use this cool thing that we've been waiting for?
It'll be this fall at the earliest, because I have this and I have a whole bunch of hoo-ha that has to happen between now and August, and then in August, me and my 2 kids are in an international karate tournament in London again. Yeah, and then after I get back, that's when I start thinking about this.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's soonish, but it's not
You can
next
put
week.
out a poll for volunteers. Maybe people will help you.
Okay, cool, yeah.
'Cause that's
Well, and the other nice thing about
not with the
Discourse.
karate tournament, with Discourse.
Yeah, yeah, aw. I'll have like a whole herd of people go chop people up.
From OWASP?
Yeah.
We're like,
Well, the other nice thing with, honestly, from just a functional operational point of view is I can SaaS discourse. I
Yeah,
can
that's-
pay the discourse people X dollars and they just run the thing. And
But
they
you
handle
sass
the
me
date.
all the time.
I sass all the time. So I love the fact that like operationally I don't have to go and patch the OS and though there's an update and like, no, we just give you some money and this thing stays current. Yeah.
Did we contact them for sponsorship option, like if they can sponsor? the
I
Discord
didn't
site?
before, but we never went real with it. We tested it and I had thrown up a couple Docker versions of it to play around and make sure it was cool.
No, I was asking about SaaS capability, like they are offering for, I mean, they have some discount for a charity organization.
Yep.
But did we try to, I mean, if they can sponsor us, like.
I didn't, because I guess my point was talking about Docker was I got to the point where I realized I tried it and this will work. And then I never got beyond the like, hey, let's talk to them and see. Do you see what I'm saying? That was one of my next steps to, because, yeah, I love playing the charity card. Hey, we're a charity, like, give us free stuff. Like, yeah, why not?
They're
But-
definitely interested.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they say no, we're nowhere off, and if they say yes, like, awesome. Yeah, totally. No, I will ask.
I mean, it will be difficult for us to maintain the servers, patch, update, and all the things.
No, I don't-
Because the SaaS, the staff don't need to spend time for that activity. They will do it like, you know, we just need to use the service.
Yep. Totally, yeah, I'm trying to get everything as much as I can not run by people in the foundation. Because I would much rather help you guys, which is a much more unique skill set than just paying somebody some money and let them run a server. That's kind of commodity right now. Okay, that's done.
Can I just add one more thing there?
Yeah.
So since we're going to be using Meetup Pro, so the Meetup has a built-in like a mailing list facility for the local members.
Okay.
So a lot of people just use Meetup to inform the local chapter members about meetups. And they don't use mailing lists because Mailman is rubbish. So is there any way to kind of integrate with, because you mentioned the cool automation with Meetup Pro,
Yep.
to actually get the mailing list from Meetup somehow integrate with Discourse so we don't have to repost it?
Yeah, I don't know of an existing thing that does that. They both have APIs that are fairly sane, so it may exist as either an add-on, a pay, or a community thing, or we could write it. But I don't know of it explicitly existing today. But nor did I research it, to be honest.
They can export it to MailChimp, but I don't know if they can.
Yeah, we'd have to see.
Great idea.
But that could be, get some students to knock up a POC. We give them a Docker image and some Meetup account that's bogus and let them try to migrate it. And if it works, then we do it for realsy on the real server.
Yeah, because this way we only have to publish stuff in the mailing list once, and if it is Discourse, we publish once, and it automatically goes to our Meetup from Meetup members.
Yep.
Or we can just ask a volunteer. Like,
Yeah,
that's what we did with our thing. I just said, like, I really want to do this thing. Will anyone help me? And a whole bunch of people volunteered.
Sure, but if we can use computers and automation, let's do it.
No, compute. They have,
Oh, you mean we need to write it?
the plugin for MediaWiki was written by volunteers.
Yeah, and then
Okay,
I
so
just had to
Vinod has
test
just
it.
found there is a plugin for Discourse which does Meetup with the
Okay, so
Okay,
high
perfect.
fives.
Yeah,
in the-
there's a load of integrations with Discourse. I just didn't know if there was
Can you,
any
like,
existing one.
Tweet that to us or something.
I think it's the best idea to share the cool things that the different chapters have on the
Yeah.
chapters mailing list so that the other people can also
Yeah.
get benefited out of it.
I would really love to
Yeah.
hear what other chapters
Same
are
here.
doing that's
Yeah.
cool, because we were talking and we're both like, oh, that's cool,
Yeah.
that's cool, that's cool. So,
Yeah,
So having a monthly chapter leaders meeting,
Yeah.
right, via GoToMeeting, I think is paramountly important because it kind of stopped happening. And Harold mentioned it's going to be restarted.
Yeah.
And I think we probably need 2 different time zones because of different countries.
At
But-
least 2.
And outcomes to be published and presentations to be published. So if any chapter has any cool idea, that needs to be shared, so it's shared on the mailing list.
And just some last operational things. I'm in the middle of migrating. This is the thing that's going to happen when this is done and before I start karate chopping people. Migrating off a higher cost used to be donated, but isn't anymore host to a less expensive host because we're spending way too much money with this current host. I'm also retiring a bunch of past WordPress sites that were used for conferences, and I'm staticifying them and shooting them in the head and then leaving them on a static site. Because we actually have AppSec USA going all the way back to 2005. Was that 2005 or 4? Like, we have all those sites, like 2005.appsecusa.org and all of the old EUs. Like, all of those sites still answer on domains, and I've been moving them all to static. And so I kind of hated to just turn them off. I found a nice way to turn WordPress into static, and they're all being statified. And then for the stuff I'm doing, I have written some Ansible to both handle these migrations and also redirects. So like for this conference, AppSecEU, if you just type in AppSecEU, right, it redirects you to AppSec 2018 AppSecEU, right? Next year we'll do 2019. That's an Ansible script that I wrote that just goes and answers 443 and 80. And 80 redirects to 443, and 443 is covered by a Let's Encrypt cert, so it costs us nothing, and we get TLS forwarding to the right place. Like, all that's automated now, which is fantastic. We're using Hootsuite to better handle social management. We just restarted using Hootsuite, so now we can, currently it has Facebook groups, pages, the OWASP Twitter, AppSecEU Twitter, and LinkedIn are all in there. So we can post and schedule things and make that much nicer. And then just staff upgrades, which is kind of inside ball, but just so if you see this, you understand what's happening. I set up a domain, owaspfoundation.org, and we're going to migrate all staff onto that email address so that you can tell the difference between a staff person and just an OWASP member.
Brilliant.
Yes. And for identity things, when you leave, we just turn this off, and there's no kind of weirdness because that's also your community address, right? Like for me, that would be a problem. Because I've had that since 2008.
Good reminder this, Matt. So a lot of people complain when they become OWASP members, they don't, they have to apply to get an OWASP.org email address.
Yep.
Can we please automate that process? So when someone becomes a paid member, they get an OWASP.org address automatically. There's
some CRM things we have to get lined up first, but yes, that's definitely on the to-do list. Yeah, it's kind of, and honestly, like selfishly from a staff perspective, that's a dumb thing that I could automate. Why would I want Dawn to have to answer an email and automate it? Like that's a waste of her time, right? So yeah, but we have to, like we say, clean house and that stuff can happen.
Fewer things we have to touch, the faster it will go.
Yep. And then finally, we're rolling out LastPass across the staff, so we have password management across all of our staff.
Yay for big security.
I know it's crazy. It's
Are
weird.
we gonna find a new solution for emailing the discount code for all of that?
Oh, there is actually. Actually, the discount code is going to die in San Jose because we have wired in the CRM to the registration so it knows that you're a leader and it doesn't have to ask you for a code. And if you try to BS the code, we'll go, haha, that's cute, and not give you a discount.
Score!
Yes.
Oh.
Yay!
We've known about that problem for a long time, and we just finally got the CRM into a place where we can do that. Yeah.
Good job.
Well, it's dumb. It's dumb to email out that code because we know who you are. And that's one nice thing too. We had done some POC work on connecting the sort of tags, for lack of a better word, we give you like leader, member, and whatever in CRM, like these kind of things, in CRM to discourse. So when you're in discourse and you create a profile, we can say, hey, member badge, leader badge, you know, whatever. We can actually attach those to you.
So, yeah, I've got a volunteer badge, but not the leader one.
Oh, I meant well, I'm using Discourse Speak. Discourse Speak calls badges like achievements. Oh, and so you can, when you log in, your profile would say, here's you, and by the way, you're a leader, and you're also a chapter member, and you're in the WIA org, or whatever. Those kind of things that are in our CM, we can actually surface in Discourse, which is another really cool reason to have it. Because then, like, being a member, it's very public about it. Like, this guy who answered my question, he's not just some random Joe who has a Discourse account. He's actually, he's a project leader, and he's a member of OWASP, and he's on the WIA, whatever, right? Done. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. I can't wait to get this stuff done.
Good work.
Yes, and I think, oh, nope, more ops. Oh, that's boring. Amazon Business account for foundation staff, ours kept getting locked. When you buy a whole bunch of different denominated European currency Amazon gift certificates from America, you get locked out of Amazon. It's the weirdest thing.
They're like, stop giving us all this money.
We already have too much, please.
Oh, true. And by the way, speaking of Amazon, smile.amazon.com, we're a charity. I'm hooked up with my smile to OWASP. I've donated, I don't know how many, 200, 300 bucks, I don't remember.
Oh, could you tweet that and I'll reshare it to all
If
my
it's
Yes.
available on Smile.
Yeah.
It's almost
Oh, it's
like-
available.
Yeah, could
Yeah. I will-
maybe we should start a little tweet storm about it.
We should.
Because I didn't know that.
Yeah, that'd be a
Yeah.
good announcement for chapters.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a member, it's.
Yeah, it gives us cash. That's
And
great.
Speaking of Amazon, is there any plan to put any of our merchandise on Amazon and just spend-
Books, yes. Merchandise, not yet. Merchandise is still a bit of a mess, honestly. We need to get providers in regions, and then we can probably make that happen. I've been playing around with Zapier, or Zapier, I don't know how you say that, whatever. Playing around with Zapier, whatever the thing is, for process automation, which is really pretty cool, where like, I get an email and I give it a tag in Gmail and it automatically drops it into a card in Trello and yada, 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 like done. Like all that kind of stuff you can do with Zapier, it's pretty sweet. I'm reviewing GoToMeeting. I'm not gonna switch it. Do you have a question before I go
No.
to GoToMeeting?
Go ahead and then I'll ask you.
Okay, I'm looking at alternatives to GoToMeeting just because we haven't like looked at that in years, and I know there's a lot of options, and I'm not even sure if those options are better, worse, different, or less, or more expensive, but I wanna kinda look at that and see if there's something better we can use.
Yes, for GoToMeeting, we can only have 26 members, not more than that.
Yeah, that's a problem. We have the GoToWebinar thing, an account, but it's kind of a mess. And that's one of the things that's motivating to look for alternatives. Yeah, because that kind of issue has hit us in a couple cases. Yep.
What about Zoom or Skype?
Zoom is on my short list. I hadn't thought about Skype. Skype could be on my short list.
I just have a team that's all across the world, and there's 60 of us, and we have team meetings, and we use Zoom or Skype.
Yeah, I've used Zoom at past employers, and it was fantastic. Yeah, so that's one of them on my short list. Looking at a platform, and I've looked at several platforms. I'm trying to find a platform to handle non-global AppSec. So if you're doing a regional event and you need a calendar and registration and a web page and call for papers, I've looked at a couple platforms that handle kind of all of the junk around holding a regional event in one place. You can put it on OWASP.org domain, and you can go there, and all of the events will happen in that place. So that we don't have like 50,000 different event systems, because that's sort of what we have now, and it's a pain. And it's just easy. If you want to handle an event, like it's just right here and go. And the ones I've looked at, I can actually delegate your event to the event team, but it's still sort of foundation, globally controlled, and we handle billing and the payment flow and all the other junk. And then our current event insurance provider is less than stellar, and we're trying to find a new one. So if we're slow getting you event insurance, that's why they're not particularly responsive to be nice.
So question on event system, Matt. There were a lot of complaints about Reg Online.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people find it confusing when to register for AppSecEU.
Yep.
And with the whole payment processing as well, people didn't know where to put the code. Any plans to replace the payment system and switch from Reg Online to something else?
I would consider the payment system not what you see, but what shuttles the money around. But yes, the front end, yes, we're looking at one. We'll use a totally different one for Jose, because Reg Online, yeah, I agree. It wasn't fantastic. Even as I've been doing events at OWASP forever, and I was like, would you want? Yeah. So yeah, I know that was suboptimal UI, but that was the best we could get in the time frame. And definitely looking at replacements. And Reg Online doesn't understand our CRM, which is one of the other problems. Like, we don't know you're a leader, which is not so
a lot of manual
optimal.
work to double check.
Yeah, Dawn is going in, quite honestly, and double checking people who put in a leader code to make sure they're really a leader, which is bunk. Like, I want her doing much more high value work than, going, yep, these people are. Cool, and I think that's all I got. Yep, that's all, folks.
And I don't know if it was stated at the very beginning, but in case you haven't noticed, Matt is back.
Yep, I'm back. It's great to be back.
We're all very sad when you announced that you're leaving OWASP, but that was
Yeah, I just had to have
a
a
bit of a
little.
break.
Yeah, I had to have a little adventure and then come back. Honestly, I've told a lot of people this. I'll tell you this. Like, I think if Karen had showed up a couple weeks before she did, I probably wouldn't have. Because basically what happened was someone said, "Hey, we're hiring," and I went, I'm kind of grumpy right now and doing a lot of crap that I don't want to, and it seems chaotic, and yeah, that sounds better. But I was very, very happy to come back. Because I bumped into Karen at Snowfrock, where I was speaking, and talked to her, and really was super excited about what she wants to do with the work. So, very, very happy to come back.
Can I suggest that we all give the OWASP staff a big round of applause, and we don't forget to thank them regularly for all the amazing work they do for us.
I appreciate that. Awesome. I'm going to push stop record, so then we can talk frankly.
Oh, yes. Let's use 4-letter words.
Help! Four-letter word. Yes. And apparently I need to figure out streaming, because it didn't work.